Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, Davey.
Good evening, Peter. We catch you a bit off wares there.
Yeah, I was just trying to share this about a wee bit, and then you got me. You got me.
Well.
I'm on the case now, so don't worry. That's okay.
That's good. You're not getting enough sleep. That's why.
Last one. No, I haven't had much sleep. I haven't had much sleep at all. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, Maureen in Killin. Ladies and gentlemen, Rosina in Vancouver. What's that? 23 centimetres of what overnight? Snow?
I'm going to say snow.
My God. Well, I wish I had had 28 minutes of sleep. That would be good. That would be. Anyway, yeah, it's been a busy old weekend again. Have you had a busy week, Davey?
Been quite quiet, actually. So, yeah.
Right. Well, Friday night I was playing at another up Hellier. I was playing at Bressa up Hellier. That's a wee island off Lerwick in Shetland. They have their own up Hellier. And we got finished about 4 o'clock in the morning and got home about 7. And then at night, again, last night, we were playing at Cullivo up Hellier. That's in another island in Yell.
Cullivo, yep.
And that was great. Brilliant night. Both brilliant nights. Folk dancing like blazes the whole time. Hello, John in Lochmaven. And so up Hellier, been fantastic. Great fun. One thing I keep getting asked all the time is a lot of folk think there is just one up Hellier, Davey. They think Lerwick up Hellier, but I think there's 12 up Hellier. So there's actually an up Hellier season from about January until March.
If only we had an A to Z of up Hellier.
If only we had. Now, fortunately, Promote Shetland have done one of the best videos I think I've ever seen yet so far trying to describe up Hellier, because when you try to start describing it to people, it's kind of difficult. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, a wee plug for up Helliers in Shetland and fire festivals all over the shop Here is the A to Z. Fancy you knowing that, Davy?
I know. Just
here's the A to Z of Up Helliah.
Grab yourself a coffee.
If you've heard of the Shetland Islands, you'll maybe know us for our knitwear, fiddle tunes, our beautiful beaches, our wildlife, or even our detective dramas. But you'll more than likely know us for this. Shetland's Fire Festival season is world famous and includes the biggest fiery celebration in Europe. Our season of Up Helliah Fire Festivals takes place in locations throughout the islands. But what actually happens? Stick with us as we take you through an A to Z of Up Helliah. A. All-nighter. Up Helliah isn't over in an hour, make no mistake. Festivities continue until the wee small hours, or in some cases, until breakfast. You don't have to stay for the whole night, but then that would be like having a starter and no meal to follow. So strap yourself in for the long haul and enjoy. B. Book early to avoid disappointment. Accommodation books up fast, as do the tickets for the public halls, so be ready. You'll find more info at this address. C. Community. Up Helliahs are Shetland's biggest community events and bring together a huge number of people of all ages from all over the islands. Whether watching, helping or participating, everyone is in Up Helliah mode. You can feel it in the air. For Shetlanders, this is bigger than Christmas. D. Dancing. At any Up Helliah event, you'll see some good old traditional Shetland dancing. Mostly everyone knows the dances, so if you don't, just ask someone to show you, or look for the dance tutorials held nearer the day. E. Exhibition. Up Helliah's origins go back 150 years. Even if you're not visiting during a festival, you can learn a lot about the tradition by visiting the Up Helliah exhibition, open May until September every year in Lerwick. F. Well, what else? G. Galleys. These ornate sacrificial boats can take teams of skilled volunteer craftsmen up to 4 months to build and half an hour to burn. H. Halls. After the burning, the evening moves on to large celebratory events in local halls and schools. Up Helliah is a celebration marking the end of the Yule season, so it has to be done in style. This is what you'll need the tickets for. I. Ignite. One of the most exciting parts of Up Helliah is the light-up, with crowds gathering early and waiting in anticipation for the signal to ignite the torches. J. The Jarl. The Geyser Jarl is the chief Viking and has waited many years for the honour of leading the proceedings. Along with a squad of Vikings, a hand-picked selection of friends and family, they'll have spent the last year painstakingly hand-making their highly detailed Viking suits, the design of which is a closely guarded secret until the day itself. K. Kerosene. There'd be no Up Helliah without it. To ensure they stay lit, all torches are steeped in kerosene. L. Lerwick Up Helliah is the largest, but fire festivals take place right across the islands between January and March, with each one having their own special character. M. Mass meetings. Coordinating hundreds of people with flaming torches isn't an easy task, so it's all gone over meticulously beforehand at a mass meeting. This tells the participants where to go and what to look out for, and also lets them refresh their singing voices for the night. Which brings us to this. N. The Norseman's Home. The most haunting song you'll hear on Up Helliah night as the galley burns. This is an emotive song marking the culmination of this part of the festivities. O. By order of the Jarl. The proclamation or bill is placed prominently early on Up Helliah mornings. It's often hand-painted and pokes fun at local worthies and high-profile news stories. P. Procession. At each Up Helliah, the new galley and Jarl squad suit is revealed during daytime parades and visits. But the most spectacular part of any Up Helliah is the nighttime procession. Costumed participants, or geysers, parade along a set route, proudly bearing torches, singing their hearts out before they all come together to burn the galley. Both day and night processions are driven by the sound of the brass and pipe bands. It's a feast for the eyes and ears. Q. Quench your thirst. In true Viking tradition, a celebratory tipple is in order, and the mood always remains positive. There's never any trouble at Uphellia. Shetlanders just don't do that. And long ago, they learned the secret of lasting the pace. R. Reested mutton. Locally dried and salted mutton is a huge favourite with Shetlanders, especially in tatty soup, which is just one of the many snacks available at venues. Halls pride themselves on supplying good quality homemade sustenance throughout the night, and it's free of charge for ticket holders. S. Squads and suits. As mentioned earlier, a squad is a group of friends, associates and family members. There can be up to 50 people in a squad, and they come from all walks of life. There's no class system here. They'll meet throughout the year to organise and practice a piece which they'll perform around the halls on Uphellia night. They'll also be making their fancy dress suits for the act, which can be a dance, a song, or a whimsical take on a local story. There's only one squad of Vikings. The other squads can be anything. T. 3 cheers for Uphellia! You'll hear it a lot, it's a call to arms, so join in with gusto. U. The Uphellia song. Sung at every fire festival, this is a rousing anthem, usually accompanied by the Lerwick Brass Band. V. Visitations. The Jarl squad is in high demand throughout any Uphellia festival and makes many stop-offs during the day, with schools, care homes and even community shops getting a visitation. Come night time, there are a lot of different squads performing, and you may think you'd never see them all, but that's why these festivals are designed around different venues. Every squad visits every hall, so if you're there for the night, you'll meet everyone, and they'll meet you. W. Weather. Uphellia does not stop for the weather. Bear this in mind, as sometimes it can be a little rough. Dress accordingly if you're going to watch the procession outside. X. We'll leave this one till later. Y. Yearly. Shetland's Fire Festival season happens every year, so if you can't make the next one, you can plan for the year after. Z. Z's. You won't get any sleep on Uphellia night, so you will need to stack some Z's the day after, and after that. And don't forget to send that postcard. There's your X's.
That helped, David,
So-
I thought.
So how much have you paid for that advert?
Note. Nothing.
You
But listen, Kenny explains a wee bit what Uphellia is all about, because it's a bit kind of difficult to explain. The best way to explain Uphellia, ladies and gentlemen, is come and see it. That's about the best way to do it.
Now,
And it's a lot less violent than the Baw in Orkney, where our guests coming for the night. Have you seen them? Man alive, that looks dangerous. That carry on.
I don't think they do a bar in Gran Canaria.
That's Derek Owen said Big Peter is looking a bit rough. Thanks very much. Thanks, Derek. Cheers. I'm just tired.
Okay.
Oh, dear. But we'll
We'll
try.
catch up a sec.
We'll try. Davey,
Peter,
who have we got as our wonderful guest tonight? From an exotic location, I believe.
more exotic than Orkney
Or
Well,
Mid-Yale.
to some.
No.
Or Mid-Yale, yeah, you're right. We have the third of our Fara members,
Yep.
described as the quiet one. That is
we're
compared to
gonna
Gina.
speak about that. I don't think she possibly is the quiet one. It's just Gina Leslie in a band. You don't really get a chance to say very much sometimes, do you? That's maybe.
Yes, and yes, instrumentalist, classically trained, I believe, as well. And yeah, let's just skip to the chase and introduce Miss Katrina Price.
Hey, Katrina,
Hello, how's it going?
we're delighted.
Doing
And we're
well.
delighted to have you on the show all the way from Gran Canaria in Spain.
Welcome to Gran
Who
Canaria.
said- Who said Fara weren't making any money? They've all got holiday homes now in Spain.
Right.
And,
It's just a pad here, you know.
yeah, well,
So
that's it. Yeah.
Katrina goes to Spain, and Gina goes to Bahamas.
I mean, every successful folk musician should have a wee hideaway in Spain, you know, just to go and be creative, you know.
But they did. They shared.
February. It was just all getting a bit too February for me, and I had a week off the gigs, so I thought I'm just going to go.
Brilliant. And you told us
Go
it's wonderful. It's wonderful you've managed to make it tonight. And you said it's been a wee bit scramble today, traveling wise. And then you got there, went for something to eat, and as a vegetarian, you got a nice pork dinner.
Yeah, a nice plate of pork.
Nothing.
Great.
Well, pigs are vegetarian. Pigs are vegetarians, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh no, pigs will eat anything. Pigs will eat anything.
Eggs are vegetarian.
Eggs are
They
vegetarian.
Yeah, I had an egg as well. I had a plate of pork and an egg.
Right.
But we're in an Airbnb here, and our lovely host has just delivered us loads and loads of food. So
look at that.
But yeah, it closed here. Like we just arrived, and we thought we'll just go past a big supermarket and stock up. But because it's Sunday, everything was closed.
Oh
dear.
Yeah,
I thought that only happened in Stornoway. But
I know. Who knew?
Yeah, that's it. Anyway, brilliant having you on. So you've obviously got a wee week off, so that's magic. But you've been involved with Celtic Connections and all that stuff in the last month as well, haven't you?
That's right. Yeah, I had a lovely Celtic Connections this year. It was so good to have the festival back in full swing after the few years of weirdness. And yeah, it was lovely. Really busy time, and actually had all of my gigs in 3 days. All on consecutive days. So we had 12th day, and then the next night we had Fara, and then the next night we had my album launch. So that was a busy 3 days. But then the week after that as well, I had a lovely gig doing strings with Duncan Chisholm as well. So that was really nice. After the ones with my name on were sort of done, and then go and play some lovely tunes with Duncan.
Sit in the background.
Yeah, exactly. Just have fun with a brilliant bunch of folks. So yeah, it was a great time.
Where is it you live, Katrina, then, when you're not in your pad? I'm
in the West End of Glasgow.
Oh, you stay in Glasgow now?
Yeah.
But of course, originally from Orkney.
That's right.
What part of Orkney were you from then?
So I grew up in St Ola, just outside of Kirkwall, just right next door to the Highland Park Distillery, actually. The next house along. So that was an amazing place to be. And then when I was a teenager, we were in Harry, which is in the West Midland.
Okay. Yeah, there used to be a Harry Potter, didn't there? There used to be a Potter in Harry, didn't there?
Yeah, he definitely made the most of that branding.
Yeah. I think he was he not there before the films came out? I think he was.
Yeah, he was. And then when it all blew up, the Harry Potter land thing blew up, he capitalised on it quite right.
Yeah, he got a lot of publicity from that one.
Beautiful pottery as well. Absolutely lovely stuff.
Are we going to have a wee track to start off with here?
We are.
For the folks. David, take away and let's find out what this is.
As Katrina mentioned, she has released an album in the last month and a bit, give or take days. So we're going to hear the title track from it. Do you want to just give us a quick rundown of a bit about the album?
Yeah, sure. And actually, this is very apt because I just heard Peter slagging off the bar. So,
I wasn't slagging it off. I was just saying I'd never want to be near it.
That's fair enough. I think we all feel the same. So this track is actually so my album Hurt came out about a month ago, and it's all inspired by Arcadian writers. So I took 6 poems from different Arcadian writers and set them to music, and then there's also a couple of instrumentals on there too that are inspired by books. So this poem is by a brilliant writer and musician called Kevin Cormack, and it's an Arcadian dialect, and it's called Hert, which means heart in Arcadian Scots. and it's all about the ba. So in the poem, I think Kevin brilliantly describes how this sort of violent exterior of the ba. By the way, if anybody doesn't know what the ba is, it's like this game played up and down the streets of Kirkwall on Christmas Day and New Year's Day by a big scrum of men. And there are little to no rules in the game. And it's very violent, but underneath this sort of violent exterior, there's a lot of heart and a lot of tenderness, I think. And Kevin just really beautifully describes that in this book.
Is that when they have a big cuddle at the end? Like
it's all a big cuddle. That's what it is. But if you don't know, if anyone watching is curious, you should just YouTube it later on.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a sight to behold, the ba.
Yeah, and if you happen to be wandering along the street on Christmas Day or New Year's Day in Orkney and Kirkwall, just kind of watch what street you go on, because you might end up in the middle of it.
Yeah, you don't want to be stampeded.
If you go onto BBC Orkney's Facebook page, they live streamed the whole thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, but it takes ages, doesn't it? Does it not take 3 or 4 hours or something?
This year they had to get somebody to charge the phone.
Yeah.
That can take half an hour, or it can take 8 hours, or however long it takes. So
Incredible.
It's mad.
Here we go. So here is from Hert. We have Hert.
What Hert is a bar.
A cork-filled, leather-bound, harlequin, humbug bar.
A game played through the streets.
A screed, a scrum, a bull in a china shop.
Driven up toward the hospital, or down toward the pier.
Bite the water, or bite the wall.
What Hert is a bar.
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 The bar is the word. Stuck down endless blind alleys.
Hours, days, years on end, a hive of hands, a secret smuggled under Gansey.
He's acting too normal. He's walking too straight.
He's getting into a care. He's getting away.
Twin against twin, twa sides of one salty silver coin.
What Hert is a bar.
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 What Hert is a bar. What houses are barricaded with sarking and gangway planks.
It bites at the window frames. Invisible, buried.
Disguised as an island of men, limbs rippling. It rumbles against architecture, bobs to the surface under harbour front bars.
Manhandled, keeked,
And scuffed.
and desecrated.
An old man's heart hung in a window as his hooves burnt through. An old man's heart
boots yet, though.
Through the floodlets, steam for the human lung.
The voice haunted blood and testosterone.
A miraculous gift of buoyancy.
Balances the crush. Cork filled.
And leather bound. What hurt is a bar.
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 For hurt is a bar.
What hurt is a bar.
What hurt is a bar.
What hurt is a bar.
For hurt is a bar.
What 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 hurt is a bar.
Yeah, well done. Now, folks, that album is out now.
Yes.
So if you could, my light just went off. Never mind. If you could share that about, that would be wonderful. Keep hitting share button tonight as well. Yeah, Viola says the bar sounds like an extreme sport, but much more fun. I suppose so. But yeah, there's loads going on there. You were getting loads of culture here tonight. You're getting up Helly As and noon. You're getting the bar game for Orkney. We're going through this stuff tonight, folks. Derek Owen says he's not going to be able to get that phrase out his head the night when he's trying to get to sleep. He's just singing it. So that's magic. Katrina, right, tell us, how did the idea for this come about then? What made you think I'm going to do this album this way?
Well, it was originally a commission for Celtic Connections in 2020. So we just got, so I wrote it back into 2019, and then we just got it in right before the pandemic, the first performance of it. So the brief for it was part of the New Voices series, which is something that Celtic Connections do every Sunday of the festival. There's a new commission for a new set of music, and the brief for it is very open, so I was allowed to just kind of do whatever I wanted, which is always a lovely thing for a composer to hear. And they were like, you can have up to 8 musicians. So obviously I got 8 musicians. And I could basically, I decided just to do something, because this is the first thing I've released solo, as it were. There's 9 people on the album, but, you know, under my own name. So I decided to sort of bring in parts of all of the different sort of, bring in things from all the different sort of parts of my musical personality and put them all together. So we've got the string quartet, we've got the fiddles, we've got a vocal trio, and we've also got a jazz trio as part of the ensemble. So it was a really lovely big broad palette of colours to work with. And had a load of fun writing it, and I definitely wanted it to be about Orkney for my first solo project. So decided to.
So how did you write, and where did you start, basically?
Oh gosh, well, I initially was inspired by George Mackay Brown's amazing poetry, which I've kind of grown up around, and was always something that I would come back to if I was having a pang for home after I left, and it would transport me right back. George is just such a master of writing in a way that's super, super clever, but doesn't sound in any way pretentious, and just is so local. It's got such a local feeling about it, his words. So I was really keen to do something with that. And then when I revisited this book of his, I kind of thought I would love to investigate other poets in Orkney as well, and find out who's writing now, and just get as broad as possible range of different perspectives on life in Orkney. So I ended up with 8 different writers who all come from different sort of parts of all different walks of life, and I think it shows really well that the diversity of people who live.
Yeah, because I suppose George Mackay Brown's always going to be the famous name probably that a lot of people have heard of, and it influenced so much, including like Peter Maxwell Davies and music, etc. I think they were good friends, weren't they, at one point in
They
time?
were, yeah, they were. They set up the St Magnus Festival together, or it was
Yeah.
their idea
Yeah.
together. Yeah.
Because was it not out in Hoy or somewhere they used to go and sit and speak
Yeah.
poetry and make music, basically?
So Max lived in Hoy, and I think George used to go over, and they would have big chats. They were definitely found each other as kindred spirits, and yeah.
So were you hearing in your head what you wanted? What when you got the end result, was it what you thought you were hearing, or did it kind of build itself as you went along?
Yeah, the latter. I would say I never kind of have too clear of an end goal. I sort of let it unfold as the process goes along, and I never really go into writing a piece of music thinking this is going to be in this particular style or this style. It just sort of, I try just to do if I'm setting words, what the words want, or what the theme kind of feels like it needs. So
So obviously with all the different poets writing in different styles, though all connected by Orkney, did you find then you were writing to each individual poet then to write a piece of music that would go along with their specific poem and the way they wrote it, probably?
You mean the approach for the music?
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah, like I think they all have different characters for just to suit the words that are being written. For example, there's one song called "No Such Thing as Belonging," which came out like in a super swing style, which was not intended in any way. But the poem, it's by Harry Josephine Giles, who is a wonderful writer from Orkney, and I actually went to school with her. So that was a lovely thing to connect. But the words are so humorous, and it's kind of like a wry look at finding your identity in a small community where the pool of people is just smaller, so it's harder sometimes to find your people, you know. So it's all about that. But
and did you get a chance to meet quite a lot of the poets then, to get to know their character a wee bit? Or
like I already knew some of them.
A
couple of them I hadn't met before, and I still haven't actually. We've communicated online, hopefully end up meeting everybody. But yeah, that one came out in a super swing style, and I was sort of surprised by this as well. And then luckily I had booked Shona Aitken to play violin on the project. She wasn't actually booked to sing on it. I had most of the vocals as a vocal trio, made up of me and Esther Swift and Sarah Hayes. So Shona was just there to violin, and then this came out, and she's obviously an amazing jazz singer, and like that, and I was like, well, there's only one person who could sing this. So I wrote Shona in on the vocals as well, and she does such a great job with that song.
Yeah, she's fantastic. She's really good. She's wonderful memory for remembering everybody as well. So, and I was walking along Princess Street in Edinburgh one day, and she shouted, "Hey, how are you doing?" and just came over and spoke, and we'd done a thing in Mareel about a year before that or something. It was just great. Really good, really good. What have we got, Davey? We're going to have another wee listen to music, and then we can just keep coming back to the bits and pieces. But that's the new album, and watch out for the new album, folks. You can find the new album online. We will mention this a few times.
Yes. We're going to go back to the basics, and we're going to have "Dreaming of 21." And this is all done on a loop pedal as well, isn't it?
This was a track which was actually, I was kind of thrown in at the deep end with this one because it was supposed to be a 12-day thing in lockdown, and then Esther got ill, not with COVID actually, with something else, but she couldn't do it, so then I just had to do it on my own. It was a commission from a theatre company down the southwest of England called Ondervinden, and they were running this lovely project where they got somebody to write a song. They got 5 musicians, and every night each musician wrote a song inspired by the previous night's song, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So I had 24 hours to write the song and record it and post it. So it was like a really good activity during lockdown. It was like, go, 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 you know, when we had like something to do and nowhere to be. So it was lovely to have like a kind of deadline just to get ready.
That sounds a wee bit like spinning the bottle, that if you end up last and somebody else has nicked your idea, it's not so good.
Yeah, that'd be awkward.
So here we go. Here's Dreaming of 21.
Space, unexpected space. That day brought, she told us she had to stay static, unexpected staticness holds us close, uncovers unanswered truths. Let's wait outside, beside our box of wine, next to the rookie fire. Eyes just visible under the yellow gazebo, dreaming of 21.
Very cool.
Thank you.
So let's get back to the basics. Tell us how you started in music and what kind of got you going.
Well, I come from a musical family, but they're not folk musicians at all. So my mum is actually German, and my dad is English, and they moved to Orkney about a while before I was born. But anyway, I ended up being born in Orkney, which obviously meant that I had automatically had this amazing musical identity just by being born there and being surrounded by all of the amazing folk music up there. But mum and dad are really into choral music and classical music, choral music in particular. So I grew up around a lot of incredible music, lots of Bach, lots of that kind of thing. And they ran a choir as well. So there was always a big mixture of music going on, really. So, and then I was lucky.
Was it Westry that Bach came from? He came from Westry.
Yeah, I think so. I think he had a wee holiday house there. Yeah. I mean, wouldn't we all have a holiday house in Westry if we could? But yeah, luckily then I had the good fortune of getting licensed with Douglas Montgomery. He just happened to be the teacher in my primary school, the fiddle teacher in my primary school. I think he was 22 when he started teaching me, and I was 8. So I was. Just
I was going to say he's kind of showing his age now, isn't he?
So, but Douglas's lessons were like genreless from the beginning. He was always really, really keen to make sure that there was no kind of distinction between how you felt about playing folk music to how you felt about playing classical music. And I think I definitely went through a phase of being like, I just want to play folk music because classical music's not cool because all my friends were playing the fiddle, right? And it was a fun thing to do. And Douglas convinced me in the end that classical music can be cool as well. And so I've always done both. Basically.
Well, I think it's that kind of, it's the having the best of both worlds, isn't it? You kind of get a discipline, I think, from classical music that you can use in folk music as well. And obviously technique, etc., and all that kind of stuff. You can really build on it,
That's right. I mean, it just kind of opens doors to you, and I think especially now it's so important to be versatile as a musician if you're wanting to make it your career. And so yeah, I guess it just opens up lots of technical possibilities to you to be able to do lots of different things.
Yeah.
Because you studied at the Royal Academy and Northern College Music as well, didn't you?
Yeah, that's
so that
right.
would be primarily classical then, rather than anything else.
Yeah.
So how did that sit with you after kind of wanting to go folk back then and being kind of led to the class, not the classical, but kind of led to go like don't kind of put the blinkers on, just kind of follow the music in general. Do you feel that was part of it, or did it just feel right at the time?
Yeah, I think if you grow up around folk music, it's always going to be there, isn't it? It's never going to leave you. So it was a really good thing, I think, for me at the time. When I was 17, I left Orkney. I went to St Mary's Music School in Edinburgh for a couple of years before going down to Manchester and then London for my undergrad and postgrad. And that time was definitely like blinkers on, get the chops up in the classical stuff. And that was great just to be really focused on that for a few years, because it just meant that like now I can rely on that technique for whatever I'm playing. So it was great. But all along I was going to sessions, and then when I met Esther, my 12th day duo partner, in St Mary's, and we both went to the Northern in Manchester together. So we were always creating after like lots of jam. We shared a flat in first year, jamming away, talking about how we wanted to create new music, drawing on our folky backgrounds, but also everything else that we were learning and listening to at college. And so we started exploring making music together from first year in college, and then that sort of like naturally gradually evolved over the past 15 years or so.
I always think you can tell when someone's using classical techniques, etc., in traditional music. Especially, how can I say this? Especially when it's things like fiddle music or violin or whatever you want to call it, and you're looking at intonation, etc., especially when you're going up into higher register, etc. If you can tell when somebody's classically trained, they kind of get it really, they're on the game, style thing. Whereas somebody that's picked it up just themselves or something like that and developed kind of different habits, etc., they find that higher register difficult. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but
it's like just getting used to getting really comfy up in the higher registers, because obviously when you're playing tunes, everything tends to be in first position. Like you might once in a blue moon get about a third position up the string, but it's just about being comfy. And I remember somebody saying to me quite early on in my classical training, like, you need to feel the same in up here as you do down there. It needs to feel just the same, so now, like, you just get comfy, so there's not really a feeling of danger when you start climbing up the fingerboard.
But I think it comes across as a very accomplished player then, doesn't it? And it really highlights how well the instrument can be played when you can do that. And it opens the scope, even in folk music, it opens it right up. If you can do all that stuff, it makes the expanse of the instrument huge. It's just...
Yeah, there's a lot the fiddle can do. It's such a versatile instrument. And it's great.
But as you mentioned, your duo partner Esther Swift, we're actually going to hear a track for yourselves as 12th Day. We're going to hear Deep Dark Beast. Do you want to tell us a bit about this track?
Sure. So this is a track from our last album, which was called Face to Face. And it's basically written about the deep dark beast that can live inside us all, I think. If you feel like you've been undermined, or if somebody's like put you down in some way, and then you have to sort of like put on the polite face, thank you very much, but inside you're actually really mad. To be honest, it was inspired by comments at gigs that female musicians get a lot. Just, people come up to you after the show and comment on your smile, or on what you're wearing, or on a different body part, or whatever it might be. And
I get that all the time as well. I get that.
Stop wearing the leotard then.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was.
But I like wearing the leotard.
The next song will be inspired by Peter's.
I'm going to Orkney Folk Festival this year. I've got a new leopard skin leotard for this year, Davey.
I can't wait.
Because I believe Fara are playing as well, aren't they?
Yeah, we are.
There we go. So here we go. Here's Deep Dark Beast by 12th Day.
They are on stage, check out how ethereal they are. Take a good look, she's so sweet, you could just cuddle her, tweet. The world needs to see her cute belly button click. Take the moment away with you in your pocket, flash. It's as if you're really there. Take a good long look, the man's coming closer, you just heard him say look out. If I was 50 years younger, you better watch out. Celtic angels, such delicate beguiling fairies haunting your worst nightmares. Well, never will you cease. This deep dark beast, with your stumblings and fumblings, she will stir. She will growl and prowl. She will claw and saw under your bed, in your Is she sticking to the topics that keep her beneath you? Turns out suppression never really quite worked out.
Absolutely loved that.
Katrina, I didn't realise you'd met Peter before.
Have
Do
we?
you know?
Oh!
Do you know? He just texted me as that track started and went, "You've made it into this video."
How rude.
But I do. That is kind of how I look in my leotard right enough. A wee bit like that hippo. A wee bit like that hippo.
Oh, dear.
And my wee boy Angus would be delighted. There was penguins in that one. It's just his favourite animal in the whole.
Oh, I mean, the penguin is a fabulous animal. Let's be honest.
Oh, he just loves it. He at Edinburgh Zoo when we were down last year, and he said to the woman, he got up to speak to them and all that, and he said she was going on about all their names. It was amazing. The woman knew them all. There was like 50 of them standing there, and she was standing going, "Oh, Hamish, come here," and all this, and then he said, "Wait a minute, is there one called Angus?" And she went, "No, I don't think there is one called Angus." Oh. She says, "We've got a pile over there that's needing names, so we'll try and name one Angus." He was fair chuffed with himself. So
that's fair enough.
Oh, lovely.
So,
not bad at all.
Yeah, Alan Monroe's on my side. See, he says, "Davey, you're a bad chap."
The thing is, you wouldn't have got that banter from Ross.
No. But that. No, I really love the track. I love the track. Do you find, just see when you said that earlier on, yeah, do you think in folk music, female-male ratio is quite good, isn't it? I would say that it's kind of pretty even.
It's getting
you know how we're looking at the Rock Awards or whatever, and it's always a big issue. But I think in folk music, it's pretty. It's not bad actually.
Yeah.
But do you find people treating you differently sometimes? Do you think because you're a woman? Then
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, like I've noticed a difference even in my career so far in the past 10 years or so. Like Fara, for example, we always used to get introduced as the all-female Fara, and even
which you still do. and Rory goes.
But yeah,
I don't think I wrote in the poster all female. I think I said fabulous, but that's different. Fabulous is okay.
That's perfect. But I think it's just that you wouldn't imagine, like, for example, Lau or Rura or something. The all male. You know, I mean, see, it's funny. Why is that funny? And it's not funny, the all female. You know, it was still like a special thing for it to be all girls. But yeah, now we don't get that. I think people have like realise now that
Getting
that is
there.
normal. And
Yeah.
we never, there was always the assumption that we put ourselves together as a band because we were all girls, and that was not the case at all. Like, we just happened to be the musicians that wanted to play together. And I think, it's much better now. There's still, like, I would love to see more women on backline instruments. Like, you don't really see many women playing like drums or guitars or things like that.
That's why Jen Butterworth's so busy. She's never in the house.
It's brilliant. Yeah, she's awesome.
She's just
I saw a post through the week, and it was a female rock guitarist who had been pulled up in the street for wearing an Alice Cooper t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And she was told that she was too young, she doesn't know who Alice Cooper is, blah, 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 blah. And then the next photo she posted was her touring with Alice Cooper as his guitarist.
Yes, love it.
No, I think it's amazing because when you look back in history at things like fight bands that Davey and I have both been involved with, but I've been involved with an awful lot longer because I'm ancient. But see, when I started playing, when I was way back like 40 years ago, and the grade 1 bands and that, and Davey, you'll ken this as well, there wasn't hardly any female pipers or drummers. It was quite a rare thing.
No, that's true. And that's why
it was a rare thing in grade 1 to see any female players.
And that's why they started off things like the D-Side Ladies, which was an all-female pipe band.
Yeah.
But
now there's a huge mixture. It's fantastic now.
Yeah, and a lot of bands is a kind of a mixture ratio. But it's the same idea that some instruments are still seen as being very masculine, which it's not the case. But it's sometimes that the female will go one route music-wise rather than another route music-wise, because that's still the kind of what's being kind of taught at school. It's still that sort of kind of.
And it's the old thing, what you can't be, what you can't see. And if there's no like women, playing drums or guitars or bass or whatever, then not many little girls are gonna, like when I was little, I wanted to play the harp because the St Magnus Festival was on, and my parents hosted the 2 harpists from the orchestra, and apparently they wheeled the harps in, and I was just like, and they were these 2 lovely ladies, and they were just really inspiring to me as a wee girl, and it's you do.
And now I bet as a touring musician you're quite glad that you don't play the harp.
Yes, especially because I play with a harpist, and I have to do that. I have to do a lot of that.
It must be a nightmare. It must be terrible taking them all over the place. It must be such a job. But,
like it's enough doing it part-time with Esther, but poor her has to cart that thing around the whole time.
Let's
have a kazoo. Is it more girls play kazoo than boys then, Davey?
I wouldn't know. Maybe you can do some research and.
I'll do some research. I'll write a dissertation on that.
Well, you've got to write one soon anyway. So, on that note, we're going to have a track from Fara, and it is "Fair Winds," and that's from your latest album. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So, our album Energy Islands came out last summer. And it's all about renewable energy, because that's something that a lot goes on about in Orkney, and it's been a really big part of Orkney life for about the past 20 years, since the European Marine Energy Centre decided to base itself up there, because obviously it's a great place to be testing out all of these machines which harness power from the tides and the waves. So we decided to theme the album around that, and this is a song called Fair Winds, which Gina wrote about a lady who was said to be the last witch, or one of the last witches of Orkney, and she lived on Brinkiesbury, which is a hill over Stromness, and her sort of business model, we sort of like to think of her as the first entrepreneurial renewable energy woman, because she would she got word around that she would sell fair winds to sailors. So So all the sailors were scared to go off until they bought these fair winds of Bessie Millie was her name. So they would all hike up the hill and pay her sixpence, and she would say, "Ooh, here you go, fair winds, off you go." Yeah, and made a tiny profit. Good women.
Come up with an idea like that nowadays, it would just be wonderful. A pyramid scheme for selling the wind.
Dragon's Den.
Didn't they have, like, at one point someone was trying to, like, sell bottled air from Orkney or something on eBay?
In a tin or something.
Yeah.
Air in a tin or something like that. Yeah.
I seen a post.
And you know the bizarre thing is they probably got a grant for it for somewhere to tin it or something.
I seen a post from a shop in Canada, and they were selling dehydrated water in a can. And it said on it, add the contents of this can to 1 gallon of water.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I'll leave that with folks.
Well, do you know something very interesting when you say that there, Katrina, about the theme that you went with this album? One of the wee schools I teach in up here, Cullerville School, up in the north end of Yale, and there's only 8 children in the school, and they asked me if they could write a sea shanty. They wanted to write a sea shanty, and I was thoroughly expecting this another rehash of the Wellerman or something, and one of the wee girls said, but we went through all what a sea shanty was about and why you had sea shanties, etc. And then she said, can we write a modern sea shanty then? And I said, yeah, great, brilliant, let's do that. And I said, what about? And she said, about the wave generator and the sound. So just when you mentioned the wave generators, and that was, and there's one up here, and the school got to name it, and it's called Halley Hope.
Oh, that's
so they've written this whole, we're on about verse 3, we're writing it as we're going along, and they've written choruses and all that. But I thought, yeah, why not? It's a sea shanty. It's got to do with the sea. It's the wind. It's the power. And it was great, though, that the youngsters that age thinking of that and thinking, let's do that.
Perfect.
It's probably a better name as well, because it could be Wavy McWaveface.
Yeah, definitely. It just proves how children should just rule the world, because if we get adults to think about it, they come up with a name like that.
Yeah, come with sensible ideas, they do.
So here we go. Here's Fair Winds by Fara.
Fair winds I'll sail to thee, to the land you long to see. Let out your sails, set them free, for the land you long to see. The time for delay it has passed. You've paid your sixpence and away you go at last. Cast off, your hopes are hoisted high, and make ready to depart, fair wind shall come. Oh, make ready to depart, fair wind shall come. Fair winds I'll sail to thee, to the land you long to see. Let out your sails, set them free, for the land you long to see. Oh, fair winds I'll sail to thee, to the land you long to see. Teague sings her sweet wing melody. There's a voice in the air and her song it echoes on. Wind shall blow and lift the dawn breeze on the sea. Make ready to depart, fair wind shall come. Oh, make ready to depart, fair wind shall come. Fair winds all sail to thee, to the land you long to see. Let out your sails, set them free, for the land you long to see. Fair winds all sail to thee, to the land you long to see. Let out your sails, set them free, for the land you long to see. Fair winds all sail to thee, to the land you long to see. Let out your sails, set them free, for the land you long to see.
Fantastic. Great track. How long's the band been working together now? You've been together
It'll
a while.
be 10 years next year.
Ah, that's amazing. Yeah.
Big year
But we've
next year,
all
then?
known each other since we were kids. I mean, Gina, Harv, and I have known each other since we were
Yeah,
kids.
it just seems like yesterday since you were starting. I can remember it.
Yeah, crazy.
I noticed Dave Cormack there's put on, was that Corrie Shallock Gorge Bridge you were on at one point?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's just like near Ullapool, just up
There
a
you
bit.
go. Well done, Mr. Cormack. Well done. You know how
What
they
you're saying-
have Scotland guess this tune and all this, guess this song from this. We'll do it, guess bits out the video. And Dave Cormack's got
Oh, there we
Tartan
go.
Tunes mugged already or something. We've got any
Now-
Tartan Tunes mugs left?
No.
Have we?
No.
No.
Anyway, now
We'll send
before we
you-
came
we'll
on
send you
air,
a pen or something, Dave.
before you came on air, we came on air. You mentioned that you'd got a new project on the go.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Sure. So it's a really exciting new project. We've just been funded by Creative Scotland to make the first live show happen this summer. So it's a project driven up during lockdown by me and my friend Emily Davis, who is a violinist as well, and she was one of the associate leaders in the RSNO. She's just recently left to go and join an orchestra in Norway, so she's kind of working between Scotland and Norway now. But the two of us during lockdown, we were in a bubble together. Her husband is my friend Andy Robb, who plays bass on my album and plays with us in 12th Day as well when we do full band stuff. So we're a lovely little bubble around the corner, and Emily and I would, before the bubble days, sit on the doorstep and have these big long chats about like the state of classical music basically, and how it was really the audiences just are older now with in classical music, and it's really hard to get young people along. So we were kind of thinking, what could we do up in Scotland which might open it up to a wider audience basically, and what could we do? So we dreamt up this idea to make a string ensemble. It's a 13-piece string ensemble called 13 North. And the plan is to take classical concerts out of the concert hall and into spaces and settings that feel more kind of approachable and inviting for people who might not be familiar with classical music and the kind of conventions and traditions around it, you know, that kind of seem really normal to anyone who's grown up with classical music, but actually when you go along and you've never experienced it, it's all a bit, you kind of feel like you're doing things wrong all the time and stuff. So we're making a concert in in St Luke's. In the summer in Glasgow. I'm not sure if we were supposed to say that, but there you go, exclusive information. And it's going to be...
We like exclusive, and Tartan Tunes, we love exclusives.
We do.
Don't make a big thing of that, Davey, in case Katrina wasn't supposed to mention that, but it was an exclusive to us. So St. Luke's, remember St. Luke's.
But we'll definitely keep an eye on the socials, and we'll let you know when it's on. It's going to be in Glasgow, and it's going to be a lovely concert. There's going to be some old music and then 3 new commissions as well by 3 Scottish composers. I'm one of them, and then 2 other Scottish composers who also have influences from folk music as well. So there's going to be a strong element of Scottish folk music running through the group, and we want to kind of like open the doors wide and try and make it an environment that feels more fun and just somewhere where you can chill out and listen. Just everyone can come and enjoy this lovely, incredible music with us.
Do you enjoy collaborating and making music? Davey, who was it we had on just recently that had done something in Sweden? Who was that again we had on just recently?
That was David Foley.
David Foley. Yeah, David had done something in Sweden, and he was talking about the finances been there to be able to do it, etc. And possibly here we don't get as much options with that, but it must be nice to do that when you get the chance to do it here.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's always the funding, right? Like, we spent ages doing a big Creative Scotland application to be able to make this project happen. And actually, we already did, the kind of first step was to create some promotional videos and to get the group together at all in the first place, just to sort of start and show something for...
Show willing, yeah.
So we did a Kickstarter campaign last year just to be able to record a couple of videos. We recorded first movement of Bartók's Divertimento for strings, and then a piece that I'd written. And then we were able, with that funding as well, to bring in the group together, because obviously to get 13 players in a room all together is pretty expensive. So it was a big undertaking to then take those videos, say to Creative Scotland, here we are, we are a thing, this is what we want to do, are you up for supporting it? And they were. So we're really excited to get that first project off the ground, and then once that show exists, then hopefully we'll take it on tour. So never know, we might make it up right up to Shetland. I would love that.
That'd be great.
I love going to Shetland. So
do you find that classical music in general, everyone knows classical music, but not necessarily knowing that it's classical music? So there's aspects that are used in TV and things like that everyone knows, but might not realize that it is classical music. So, for example, like the theme tune from Alton Towers, for example, everyone knows that, but not everyone knows it's a piece of classical music.
Yeah, totally. Like, there's so much like that, like things that are used in adverts and stuff like that. Like, the Hovis advert, Dvorak.
Yeah.
Like, nobody would know that, but it's just the Hovis advert. And I don't know, I guess it does show that it's accessible because people remember it, and these tunes are so strong and stick in people's minds. But I think a lot of the time the thing that puts people off classical music is the kind of some of the traditions and conventions that surround it, and that it's seen as elitist. And people think that they need to know about it before they go, which they don't. Like,
isn't that strange as well? Because I remember hearing a band one night playing, and they played a couple of jigs, and it was actually themes and pieces that Haydn had written, because Haydn wrote quite a few bits and pieces that were 6/8 and jigs, and they suited. But then, so much classical music has developed, as especially but doing all that classical courses, etc., has developed from folk music. When you look at Grieg, etc., like that, I mean, that's what it all came from, and etc., etc. So it's funny how it ended up as if it was elitist, because it shouldn't have been, because it was really just it was the
complete opposite.
What was already there. It was.
Mozart and Beethoven were both, as far as I'm aware, very, very poor, and again, it was the elitists, those that could pay, were the ones that were listening to these folk musicians performing original pieces for them. But I think it's as we said at the start, it's very much a platform and a kind of a grounding for musicians that play. The classical music does enhance the trad or the pop or anything else they're doing. You can see that is obviously a big thing.
That's right.
You did.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I was just going to say I did a nice little experiment with that back in November. I did a wee recital at the Scots Fiddle Festival, and I just decided it was totally solo, just me. So I use it as an opportunity to see how it would feel to put these different styles next to each other, and it was such a lovely thing. Like I took an Orkney tune, arranged it for solo fiddle, and then segued into a piece of unaccompanied Bach, and it just kind of like they just were both
worked.
They just really worked together, and there was nothing kind of like, oh, now we're in the classical, oh, we were, there was no sort of change. And then at the end I did the same with the Bach E major prelude, the really famous played that, and then segued into Generida Quarf by Kevin Henderson, and that really worked as well. It's because it's just a reel, really, with just more complicated harmony. There's just
that's it.
Different...
At the end of the day, music is music.
Exactly, that's it.
But that does bring us on to our next video, which is May Alone for string quartet.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about this.
Yes, so this was a piece also written in lockdown, actually. It was part of Face Ross ran a competition with Nature Scotland, I think they're now called. Scottish Natural Heritage, they changed their name, I think. And basically they invited people to write pieces of music for these different nature reserves. And I could pick which one to write for. So I chose the Isle of May because to me it was the closest, I think, to Orkney, just in the vibe of it. And also, I just really like this idea of, I wanted to play with the idea of isolation. It was right at the beginning of in the first lockdown. And it was when the weather was really, really bonny as well. And I really wanted to get outside and couldn't. And I was just missing the open space. And I was dreaming of going over to the Isle of May and being there. But then also thinking about the bird life there, like absolutely thriving because there are no humans coming and they're having this amazing boom because of that. So, I wrote this piece for string quartet and won a prize for it from that competition, which was lovely.
Fantastic.
Here we go. May Alone.
Thanks so much.
Oh, sorry.
What are you doing?
Sorry. Sorry, David.
Sorry, Katrina. Sorry. It's,
Guys, not
I'm
watching the
unprofessional.
video.
I was just I was inspired by Katrina talking about segueing, so that was a wee Mozart into Bobby McLeod there.
Yeah,
No,
that's perfect. I love that.
The video was absolutely beautiful. I was watching it.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. I'm just gonna be really unprofessional, and I'm just gonna pour my friend a glass of wine because
That's
she's
okay.
been waiting. We just
in your
arrived
ho-
at our accommodation.
Since you're in your holiday chateau.
Here you go.
Money in creative Scotland, by the way, when you can have your own place in Gran Canaria.
We got a live audience member.
Yeah,
It's okay. We won't keep you
can
long.
you show
much
me
longer.
how to fill these
Oh,
forms
that's
in? Can you show me how to fill these forms in for Creative Scotland, please? I'd love to.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I know it's a
I'm
nightmare.
probably joking. No, great. Here's the dog back. Right.
Oh,
There
such a good dog.
So,
So,
bringing it up to date, we are on tour from March 8th with Fara.
Yes, yeah, we've just finished the first leg of the tour, and now we have a gig. I'm flying straight from here to Nottingham, and doing a gig there, and then we have a few other dates just dotted around in March.
So we've got Nottingham, West Kilbride, Peebles, Forest, Caston, Stapleford, Tenbury Wells, and then Edinburgh at Tradfest in April.
That's it.
hey, you can do
And then up to-
a video in Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, could do
You don't
that.
dress up with Robin Hood and his merry band. Off you go.
Green tights, Rory.
Great. But no, where's the best place, Katrina? We were talking earlier just to highlight to all the folk back
Sorry,
home.
2
And
seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds.
All right.
Sandra's asking wearing Nottingham.
Sandra's asking.
Oh,
That is that Lakeside Arts in Nottingham, Sandra.
Thanks, Stevie.
You can get tickets via Fara's website by the looks of it.
yeah.
There we go.
It
Just
might be
kind of
sold out, but give me a shout and I'll see what I can do.
There we go. There we go.
There we go. So,
Sorry, as you were, Peter.
yeah, I was just going to say, so for Fara stuff, I'm sure all the tour dates like that will be on the Fara website.
Yeah.
But folk wanting to buy your stuff that we heard earlier in that, your new album, etc., Katrina, if they go onto your website. And is there links to that? Can they get it for Bandcamp or something like that as well?
Yeah, so if you just go to my homepage, I think there should be a link there to. Oh, there's my online shop as well on the screen. But yeah, if you just go to the homepage of the website, there should be a link that takes you to the right place.
And see, with all your compositions, have you thought about bringing a book out or writing stuff down yet? Or?
Yeah, I think we've got a Fara tune book in the pipeline,
Right.
and for my own compositions that like the string quartet piece you just heard, and for like the stuff I'm writing for 13 North, it's all written down, but
Yeah.
I don't know what'll happen.
Oh,
If
yeah.
anybody ever wants to play it, they can get in touch with me and I'll happily give them the music. But
Because Davey does that as a business as well, and he's done all my books for me, and he does a very good job of them.
oh, that's great to know. Excellent.
that's
Oh,
pretty
there's
well.
Tina's book. Yes, I've got that one at home as well.
Was that the one you just? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was supposed to get one of them. I forgot. Right. I better do
So
it.
yeah, it's en route. It's en route. Tina's posted it.
Oh, is it? Super duper. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's good.
that's what Tina.
I'm going to play something
Yes,
else.
sorry.
But anyway, so
Yes.
folk, please do jump on and buy lots and lots of stuff, because I'm sure Katrina would be
Yes.
delighted to send it to you or get in touch or whatever.
Absolutely.
No doubt there's a cupboard with lots of CDs currently sitting.
Yes. There's many CDs under the bed.
So apart from the Fara stuff, what's lined up? The fact the string ensemble as well. What else is happening this year?
Well, I've got an exciting trip coming up in end of March, start of April, or most of April actually. I've been doing this course this year called the Global Leaders Program, which is it's basically for it's a kind of global cohort of people who are working in music and who want to make social change happen through their music projects. So it's a lovely, it's like a kind of graduate certificate sort of thing, and it run by this like independent body in the US, and then they work with lots of different universities to make the courses. So it's been super interesting, and been meeting lots of cool people from all over the world doing amazing things, which is so heartening to see. You know, people stuff happen all over the place where there's all talks of cuts all the time and so much negativity. So it's been great and so inspiring. So I'm off to there's an event happening in Chile with that law. We're going to go, because obviously all the classes happen online, so we're going to have a meet up and a sort of in-person exchange in Chile. But before that, I'm going to go and spend a couple of weeks in New York to research another new project that I'm working on. And it's kind of a new project, but it's also, Esther and I kind of made the first baby steps with it back in 2012. It's called Roots to Roots, and it's a kind of international folk music sharing project. And we're wanting to look at how collaborating across cultures, like across different Indigenous music traditions, can foster empathy and peacemaking across borders. Because I think that's quite an under-researched area. Like, have a positive impact on people's perception of different cultures.
If you ever need an accordion player from Yale, I'm quite peaceful.
Good to know.
Peter, you're from Bigger. Crawford John.
Well, I'm not very sure, but I'm still quite peaceful wherever I come from.
That's the main requirement.
Peter's just after work, to be fair. But no, it must be really exciting trying to do things with other musicians out with the folk scope, while still using your own folk stylings to mold with whatever they're doing.
Exactly, like, because Roots to Roots, it's the reason why Esther and I had the idea in the first place was the realization that we've grown up in this amazing tradition and this amazing folk tradition, but there are traditions like that in every single country in the world. Yes. They all sound really, really different, or a lot of them sound really, really different, but we're all doing it for the same reason, and they all exist, for community building, identity, tradition, all these things. And how can we, what can we learn from each other by learning about each other's different music and exchanging and also making new music by working together, which I think is really exciting.
And of course, the making new music, because of remote recording, etc., that we can do now over the internet, we can actually get stuff together with somebody that you just wouldn't have done in the past. Because say you had one track in an album and you wanted a Peruvian flute player or something, there's no way you could have afforded to bring them all the way here to record that one track or that, but you can actually do it digitally now and put it on your album, which is wonderful. That is really cool.
Yeah, it's so nice. It just opens up so many possibilities, and I just find it very exciting going and learning about other people's cultures and connecting in that way. And I think it like provides a very quick way of understanding people, really, once you learn about their culture. And there needs to be more of that in the world, because there's a lot of sort of suspicion about other cultures, especially in the West. And that you hear all these negative news stories all the time, and we need to be learning about other cultures in a more positive way. So.
Definitely. Yeah.
But that's another exclusive for you folks, that on the next Peter Wood Shetland Dance Band album, there'll be a Peruvian flute player.
I want some of that Inuit throat singing on my next album, actually.
Yeah, I've got a couple of pals I can hook you up with.
It's awesome.
There you go.
I want to do a dance mix with the Inuit throat singing.
That sounds.
Ladies and gentlemen, take your part.
And a wee bit of accordion in the background. A wee bit of Boston two-step in the background. Yeah.
Oh, dearie me. No. Katrina, it's been great having you on tonight. We're going to finish off with another track from your new album. We're going to have Storms.
Cool.
Do you want to give us a bit of insight on Storms before you go? and probably cause a storm in Gran Canaria.
Hopefully in Gran Canaria don't get any storms this week.
No, of course.
I know, fingers crossed. It's currently raining, but we're hoping that that's going to dissipate by the morning and we wake up to a beautiful view.
That's just because you've come from Glasgow and it's followed you.
Yeah, probably. So
tell us about Storms.
Storms is it's a setting of a poem by Margaret Tate, who was a wonderful poet and filmmaker from Orkney who was active in about the mid 20th century. And she was a woman really ahead of her time. She was working as a filmmaker in the 50s and 60s, which was obviously very, not like barely any women behind the camera in those days. So she was a real pioneer, and I really loved. I love this poem because it's basically likening using an Orkney storm as a metaphor for her own strength, which is just like, that's the feeling I get when I read the poem. And also I can kind of feel the Orkney storm on me. The sort of main line that I sort of use as a refrain in the song is, I wished for a storm to test my strength against. And if anyone stood in an Orkney gale before and it's just you against the elements, you'll really understand that line. I had a lot of fun setting this.
Katrina, can we just say thank you so much for giving up time when you're on your holidays and you're in
It's a working holiday, Peter. It's a working holiday.
All right, working holiday. Sorry.
I'm telling myself this.
That's right. Sorry, I forgot the working holiday. I should know better. But on your working holiday, thank you very much for coming on Sunday night, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the week. And I hope you I've found a link. I'll send you for the best vegetarian restaurants in Gran Canaria. I'll send you that one over. And but no, thank you so much. It's been a really, really nice interview with you tonight, because I think what stuck out for me more than anything in all the past interviews we've done in the last 2 or 3 years is forgetting that you get an artist like yourself and a musician that contributes so much, obviously, to say a group like Fara, where we really know you from, but seeing your individual contribution to the music world here is absolutely fantastic as well, and seeing what you like doing is fabulous and shows your many opposed to your talents and all that kind of stuff. So it's absolutely fantastic. So thanks so much, and hopefully not too many storms out in Gran Canaria.
Oh, thank you so much, Peter.
You take care. Thanks, Katrina. We'll see you in Orkney. See you soon.
Yeah, see you there in the leotard.
Yeah.
All the best, Katrina. All the best. Here we go.
The storms. See ya.
I wish for a storm to test my strength against. I wish for a storm to test my strength against. I wish for a storm to test my strength against. I wish for a storm to test my strength against. I cried for the gale force wind, for electric explosion, for sheets of rain. I looked to the motionless mists of cloud, to the serene blue of the sky, and wished them transformed. I wish to be baptized and to emerge triumphant. I wish for a storm to test my strength against. I wish for a storm to test my strength against. I wish for a storm to test my strength against. I wish for a storm to test my strength against. I love the beating heat of the evening after rain, and a camel, the sea which makes it look like heavy melted deep, covered stuff, but in time through it all, I crazily beat the wind beat it, lashing the untamed tide. I live on, and the screaming of the wild, and the screaming of the wild atmosphere. I live in the violence of it, pumps my blood faster. I wish for a storm to test my strength again. I wish for a storm to test my strength again. I wish for a storm to test my strength again. I wish for a storm to test my strength against.
Powerful stuff.
Fantastic.
Powerful.
Fantastic.
Thanks to Katrina there. That was a great interview. I really enjoyed that, mate. Great crack. And a perfect end to my long weekend. Well, actually, I'm on holiday the morning as well, actually. I've got a holiday the morning. So.
Look at you.
Yeah, well, yeah. I see Angus Allison there asking about the tunes in the Hoos thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Davey there. If we can get Martin McLeod might answer that one for you. I'm not sure exactly what state of the play that Tunes in the Hoos is in just now.
Yeah.
So I'm sure if people were keen on
No clue.
it.
No clue.
I know it took an awful long time to put all that stuff together, Angus, and it was possible because Martin Jr. Was like the rest of us off work at the time, kind of style thing.
Yeah, working from home and all that sort of stuff. Yeah,
but
we will see.
That's been a great show, David. Absolutely super. Next week's guest, folks, had a wee change of plan, but I'll get it sorted through the week and let you know who's on next week. So I'll be advertising something by about Wednesday. Even if I have to do a Sunday breaking and dress up as somebody else, and you can interview me if we really had to.
As long as it's not the leotard.
No, I'm keeping that just for live. I'm keeping that for live.
Leave that for your joint gig with Fara in Orkney.
Yeah, I wonder if I hope Fara don't pick on me though if I put my leotard on. That's the only thing.
I don't think. Yeah, they probably would actually.
No, it should be all right.
No,
I'm not sure about the leopard skin one now, right enough. I might go for the Diamante one. That's
maybe go for polka dots, like a wee teeny polka dot leotard.
Yellow polka dot thing.
Yellow polka dot leotard, yeah.
Wait a minute, we could write a song about that. Oh no, it's maybe been done. No,
don't let it catch on.
Anyway, listen, that's been wonderful. Anything else to say tonight?
I have nothing to add apart from it was great having Katrina on. We are 3 from 4. We've got 1 left on our Fara bingo card, so we'll sort that out.
Yeah, we'll just speak to the ladies and ask them to sort them out.
Yeah, because we all know who wear the trousers in Fara.
Yeah, exactly. He's got no chance. Right. Okay.
On that note,
ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us again. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Have a nice week and stay safe. Take care. Good night.